Hi, everyone. You've got Deniz, Yusuf here, and I'm with Darren Hunter, and we are Inspired Growth Training, and we're here today for the BDM Coach podcast show. Darren, this is a topic that we're going to be talking about today that actually puts a really big smile on my face because I'm going to put it out there right now, Darren. You are the time management king. This is Darren Hunter, property management, entrepreneur, trainer, coach, consultant, everything and time management king. Now, the reason why I say this is probably about 2 years ago, I said to you, Darren, we need to do a session on time management. And you said, Deniz, I don't know if time management will work for BDMs, blah, 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 blah. You gave me all these reasons and I went, Darren, BDMs are struggling to get their tasks done. They're struggling to get consistent. They're struggling with all of these things. And you went, okay, tell me a little bit more. And we had a few discussions. And I think it was about 3 or 4 months later, we ended up doing something. And I'm really excited for us to do this again because it's so true. You're like, everyone's focus on time management has always been around property management, but BDMs, they are property managers. They work for the property management department.
I think for BDMs, and I just want to say, everyone, we wanted to go back to this topic because we're just releasing our third IGT book, which is called Master Your Time Secrets. It is written with property managers in mind, but I've done a whole chapter just for BDMs. Now, Deniz, if we've got 12 chapters in the book plus a bonus section as well, and only one chapter is speaking about BDMs, and it actually says that time management is a lot more simple to understand for a BDM than what it is for a property manager. There's so much more to control as a property manager, so we're going to make things really nice and easy and simple when it comes to BDM, and that's the way it should be. And just a quick shout out as well, everyone, we're about to launch our 12-part series. Now, Deniz and Michael, particularly Deniz, you work very hard creating it's like a 12 to 15 hour series for full-time and part-time BDMs. And the whole goal in mind is how to structure yourself, how to equip yourself, how to skill yourself up to 20 plus doors or properties a month signing up. And so though we're not specifically talking about that today, everybody, you've got access to the BDM Coach Academy. It launches in about 4 weeks, but just go to igtmembership.com and either you attend the sessions live or just watch the recordings after we've done it. But we have a full academy just for BDMs. All right. It's the most detailed, most comprehensive skilling and training that is on the planet when it comes to BDM. It really is a BDM university. Go and have a look, igtmembership.com. All right, so let's just have a look at, now I just want to bring up,
Darren, I want to add to that, right? Because I believe what we've done with the academies at the end of each session, people get involved with us. We're inviting them into the meeting. We're having open discussions about what they're doing, how it's working, what they got out of the session. And the feedback from that has been phenomenal. I don't know any other training that is actually doing this. Yes, we have one-on-one coaching and we have our group grow coaching and stuff like that. But this is our membership. They get full access to us. I think it's great. The academies have been working really well. And now we're adding the BDM component to it as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited.
It's going to be good. And yeah, each session is a webinar, and then it goes to a meeting. So we invite people into the room if they want to come and chat to us, ask any questions, we can engage on a coaching level. But of course, you've got caller coach as well, which means you can contact Deniz at any time, for any help and advice as well. So it's a good membership. Check it out, igtmembership.com. Now, I'm just going to share screen here and bring up the book, and the book is available at Master Your Time Secrets. All righty, so masteryourtimesecrets.com. The book is free. You just got to pay shipping. The final product is about 350 pages, Deniz. Now, yes, we're about to go to print. It is the most comprehensive, the most detailed, the most skilled book ever written in property management on the planet that focuses on time management. Okay, that said, there's not too many property management books that have been written out there, and I'm happy to be the author behind this one, and of course we've got 2 others as well. But and this particular chapter here is in chapter 11 and for those that are watching the podcast, you can see the book on screen, and I'll be making sure this is suitable for audio content as well. But basically, again, the BDM, when it comes to time management, only really needs to focus on two things: activities that bring in the gold, and the right activities that bring in the results, and less activities around the activities that bring in the gold, what we call the dirt generating activities. So I use the analogy of a gold mine, and gold is a very rare and precious metal, but it's only rare and precious because it's not just lying around on the ground. It has to be dug out of the ground. And I watch on the TLC channel, the, Gold Digger, and, seeing in Western Australia how they go out digging up dirt and with their metal detectors, and they could be out days and days and days before they come across a nugget. And they have to shuffle all this dirt. If they hear their metal detector go off and ring, ring, ring like this, the beeps and stuff, it's like, wow, this is great. But it's not just lying there. They've got to dig through the dirt to get to the actual gold. Yeah. So there's two types of activity. There's the dirt activities, and then there's the gold activities. And we've got to be doing a lot more of the right gold activities, Deniz. And there is such a thing as BDMs chasing shiny, spray painted rocks.
Darren, right? I like the analogy, because a gold mine, right? Let's be straight up. The gold's not at the top, right? BDMs today, or property managers that want to do cold calling, or they're scared of whatever, they're expecting the results straight away. But you've got to dig. You've got to, there's a lot of surface that you've got to remove. And like whatever work you're doing today is going to give you results in 2 to 3 months. It doesn't happen overnight unless a salesperson walks in and says, sign this person up.
So the analogy simply is that we've got to do less dirt moving activities, which is admin stuff, the stuff that has to be done, whether it's creating management agreements or, we'll go through a list of those, okay? But don't have a good BDM who's finding the nuggets busy doing the dirt activities. You can't get them digging the dirt as well as going and securing the gold, all right? So it's really divided into two things. That's why I said it's simple for BDMs to understand, just to focus and pour all their time into the gold activities, and not just thinking that shiny spray painted rocks is worth anything as well. So that's going after the wrong strategies and putting the right time into the wrong things. So we're actually going to show you what are the right tasks that bring in the right the strategies that bring in the most amount of gold the quickest. So we're going to talk about those as well and reveal those. Okay, so we talk about in the book here again, gold nugget and removing dirt activities. Please get yourself the book, all right? It's free. I can't make it any cheaper than free. All you've got to do is pay shipping, and it's a good thing as well. You think, oh, Darren, I don't want to pay shipping. Well, guess what? What you get for free and don't put any value into it, you will not value it, which means if I actually sent this book to you and you didn't pay shipping, I bet you'd take the book and you'd put it on a shelf and you'll never open it because you don't place any value on it. So yeah, there's a buy-in, and you paying shipping is your buy-in. That is your investment. I'm putting the investment in as well, or IGT's putting in the investment to pay for the printing. I promise you, you just pay for shipping. I promise you, it's just shipping you're paying for. We're also paying for the book. So we are losing money. So we are investing in you to invest in yourself. It's got to be a two-way street there. So knowing your gold nugget strategies. And so the question I asked Deniz and Michael was, what are the 3 strategies? Do you remember the conversation, Deniz? What are the top 3 strategies that get the best results? And what we down on the bottom of page 265 here, it's growing with existing clients. All right, with strategy gold nugget number 1. So Deniz, I recall a conversation with some people that did some coaching. They did the training, also the top growth training that we've got in the Top Growth Academy, which is also in the membership as well, alongside the BDM Coach Academy. And Mel and Pat, they, with their rent roll in Auckland, called up the 450 owners that they had in their rent roll. Out of that, they identified 220 properties. Then it's 220 properties.
Crazy to think about. It's crazy to think how many they've had. And Darren, I've had plenty of discussions with lots of other agencies doing the same thing. They started doing it. I mean, this is such an easy strategy to use, and I'm fairly certain we've already done a podcast on this in the Top Growth podcasts that we've done as well.
Yeah, correct. It's in the Top Growth
Yeah.
podcast, everybody. This particular strategy, it's one of the latest episodes, but also it's in your book, the PM Lead Secrets. So pmleadsecrets.com if you want to get that as well, everyone. So, but it is, we give it in all its depth in the Top Growth Academy, igtmembership.com. Just go there for that. All the academies are accessed through the one membership. Okay. Let's get into this. So growing with existing clients. So it's really just going to the easy gold, which is the warm context. I mean, Deniz, as a marketer, I understand there's cold leads out there that don't know us, that don't know who we are, all that sort of thing. But the raving fans are the ones where the money is. And so, Deniz, how warm are current clients?
Current clients are hot. They're not warm.
They're raving fans.
They're
raving fans. They will take a phone call from us. They will take a phone call from the office. They will talk to you. They know who you are. It
shows you. They're already, and Darren, this is, I say it all the time. People ring me up, Deniz, I've been put into the BDM position. I don't know what to do. This is the first strategy I tell them to do. And even if they're not under our coaching, it's advice I'm giving. Call your current clients, get used to picking up the phone, get used to the no's, get used to, making the calls, getting into a system of making calls, the consistency, and also get used to those clients receiving calls for no reason. Like they're used to having calls of my property's broken, the tenant's vacating, or they're in arrears. So you're adding the positivity and turning them into a massive raving fan.
Absolutely. So everyone, just go to Top Growth Podcast Show for this particular strategy. Now, the next gold nugget strategy, and not a shiny painted rock, is growing with strategic alliances and gathering referral partners. And again, you'll find that episode on Top Growth Podcast Show. But Deniz, we remember a story of Shoshana. She started up her rent roll from scratch and she needed to grow quickly. And over the next 12 months, 50% of her growth came from strategic alliances. But Deniz, as a BDM, how did that work for you?
Oh, look, strategic alliances are vital. We can't rely on the salespeople to grow the rent roll. And I was utilizing strategic alliances. I was attending B&I meetings. And what that does, you're becoming top of mind with strategic alliances. They're business owners within your local community. So you've got to become top of mind with business owners who are influential within their own ecosystem. So this gives you the opportunity of being the number one go-to property manager agency of choice within multiple communities within your big ecosystem. So the mum and dad investors or investors are talking to these people prior to a sales agent. Right, so your name is getting put out there, and your name is becoming a warm and recognized and trusted name prior to them even purchasing a property. So this really turns those cold leads into warm leads prior to them even contacting your office. I mean, again, I could talk about strategic alliances for hours and hours and hours, but personally, I listed a lot of business through strategic alliances.
So everyone understands the power of the real estate salesperson, all right? We understand traditionally that's where you get your leads from. A good real estate salesperson who's dealing with selling properties to investors are handing the leads over to you. Well, the real estate salesperson is just one in the whole, the ecosystem of where you can get leads from. Of course, you got Deniz, we've listed mortgage brokers and accountants and all those people that are involved in that universe also referring. And again, go to Top Growth Podcast Show. We cover that also in a lot of depth in the Top Growth Academy, igtmembership.com. All right, now moving on, Deniz, strategy number 3 is probably the number one strategy that is your legacy. It's the number one thing that got my attention with you many, many years ago around the investor support services. And Deniz, in a nutshell, now over 4 years, you signed up 920 25 properties in Nowra, a small country town in New South Wales, but 80% of those properties came from that one strategy. Deniz, how does it work? How did you discover it?
The discovery is a secret, Darren. Discovering it, basically, I started monitoring all of the sale inquiries that was coming into the office. I started watching the sales inquiries. Sales agents typically tend to refer business to you when they've sold a property. So I'd identified that, what you need to be doing is start monitoring those inquiries and start building relationships with people at the home opens, at the auctions, if they're going, through the email inquiries, through home open caller lists or whatever the case. But it came to me via an accident because realestate.com.au had emailed every single real estate inquiry through to the entire office. So I started looking at all of these and going, hang on a minute, these people are asking about rental returns and what it would rent for if it was vacant today. And the sales agents at the time, they weren't, coming to me for this advice because I was giving them a letter saying this is what I believe it would rent for. But that doesn't count when, the property's been online for 3 months and the rent's changed, or they're not coming to me, giving me the tips on the names and numbers of people that are asking for the rental opinions because they're going off and buying properties with the rivals. And I didn't like that. So I started building relationships, building rapport, making phone calls, emailing them information that would make them want to contact me when they were purchasing a property. So I was giving rental opinions on properties they didn't even purchase from. Darren, I could talk about this for hours. I was attending open homes for people wanting to buy properties out of town and giving tips on how to get higher rent returns. So there's a whole ecosystem within your office here where you can be building relationships with. Again, it's got the strategic alliance here because there's, especially if you're a property management only, Darren, you should be networking with sales only agents or sales agents that got a property management division, whatever the case, because we all know they refer business everywhere, right? But that's another discussion.
So everyone, BDM Coach Academy, I think it's session 11, Deniz, is a whole session on networking with salespeople, alrighty? So make sure if you're a BDM part-time, full-time, or you're managing a BDM or thinking about hiring one, make sure you join the BDM Coach Academy. Just go to igtmembership.com. You want to get your learning. This is the best learning academy that's available for the property management industry. I'm certainly not aware of any BDM coach course that's more in-depth and more comprehensive as well than this. Plus, you get access to the Top Growth Academy, which has already got recorded. My Win Your Worth Academy, which teaches you how to find an extra $500 to $1,000 a year per property on new business as well. Plus, there's also the Master Your Time Academy as well for property managers and 300 hours of our other material. Moving on. So with strategy 1, 2, and 3 done right, BDMs, you'll be smashed busy just picking up gold nuggets. If you just learn, apply, implement, and then fine tune these 3 strategies. These are the only real 3 strategies. There's others as well, but these are the best and the easiest for the quickest return. All right. So now, Deniz, shiny painted rocks. All righty. Where people think there's actually there's gold, but there's not. And they spend a lot of time doing certain activity, which doesn't get any results, but they keep on doing it. So what comes to mind? What sort of strategies would BDMs be wasting time on thinking that that's what they should be doing and they're not?
Darren, to be honest with you, I think most of the time the BDMs are waiting for the phone to ring, and then they fall into the property management tasks and help them. That's a big issue that I'm finding, that I can help with the leasing because they don't know what to do, those tasks. But if cold calling comes to mind a lot, I'm seeing in a lot of the online groups at the moment, they're saying, I need help with cold calling scripts. I've got an old list, and they don't know what to do, and they struggle, and they're going online asking other property managers what to do, and then they don't know what to do because they don't do it and they fear it. Cold calling.
Yeah, correct. Correct. I think that's a good shiny painted rock strategy. And they're doing that, Deniz, because they're desperate, because they don't know what other strategies they can be doing. That's the problem, is that you don't know. A lot of sales bosses don't know that, okay, they know how to prospect for sales, but they don't know how to prospect for property management. If you just got strategy 1, which is growing with current clients, strategy 2, which is growing with strategic alliances and referral partners, and strategy 3 with the investor support service is simply contacting property investors before they buy their property on the journey to them buying their next investment property. Instead of waiting until it's sold and then getting it, you're getting in early, establishing a relationship, getting trust, warming it up. So by the time they're ready to buy, you've got the relationship, you've got the business, and your rivals are thinking, oh my goodness me, what just happened there? Why did we miss out on that? How did such and such agency get to it first? And they're left clueless. And that's what was happening to you, Deniz, wasn't it? People getting angry. In fact, you had calls from, you had one of your rivals call your boss and complain.
They did. They rang and complained. They actually thought that I had their database. I don't know how I would have got their database to start with.
Well, you did, in a way, because they had made inquiry with your office on a property for sale, and you simply followed up that sales inquiry from a property management angle, established a connection, and away you went. And you were in early. It's done ethically, above board. You won the trust first. There's nothing wrong with that.
Totally. Now, Darren, I want to give you 2 shiny things that I see, property managers and BDMs doing. One of them is they rely on Facebook. They'll post, "I need more properties," or "we need more properties." That doesn't work. That's not answering the pain point of an owner. That's just, to me, it's a waste of a post. And the other thing is, they put online, they think that posting properties for rent is a way of prospecting. Now, marketing properties is a point of difference, the way you market, right? And if you're marketing properties, if you're doing an ad showcasing how you market over your rivals, that's gold. But just putting house for rent and then feeding that link to realestate.com.au or trademe.com.au or whatever, that is a waste of time. That's not going to grow your role.
And I saw a post just before of a BDM saying how to change your from property manager in other agency to us, how easy it is. And to me, it's a sign of desperation. And the reason why I believe that promoting yourself to change agents isn't effective is simply because it's so hard to get owners to change. They have to be wildly angry to be motivated to make the effort to change, which means, Deniz, they need to be, even if they're just annoyed, they're not going anywhere. It's too hard to change. That's why as a fee maximizer, this works, because if we can increase their fees, as long as they're reasonably happy, it works. But if they're annoyed, don't increase their fees, because then it might motivate them to leave. But if they're annoyed, they'll stay. And so don't people put time into how to change agents, because there's much better ways. So strategies 1, 2, and 3 is where you put your focus on. Now, Deniz, it's got to be said, if people want to talk to you about more work done on these strategies, even if they need coaching, Deniz, how can they book into your diary? What's the diary link?
They could go to growmyrentroll.com.
growyourrentroll.com will book you straight into Deniz's diary to have a chat, because sometimes you need coaching. You've got to have coaching to keep you accountable. Otherwise, you go back to shiny painted rock strategy. So let's move on.
Darren, it's okay just to have a discussion, right? I'm not going to convince them that they need the training. I'm just going to guide them, and they can make the decision. I've only got so many spots left for coaching as well. So by all means, it's easy to have a discussion, and I can guide them or help them where they need to go.
All right, let's now move away from the gold nugget strategies, because we've given you the best 3 that if you just learn them, become an expert on those, you'll have more gold than what you can deal with. All righty. Okay, now limiting your dirt moving activities. So dirt moving, again, is essential to the gold mining process. We accept that, but you can't be a good BDM cannot be kept busy with this. Now, what we've listed here, and for the people listening, we've listed typical things like entering details and keeping a CRM up to date, completing comparative rental analysis reports, creating new management agreements, the handover procedure and checklist to property management, sorting and replying to emails, managing phone calls, diary appointments, and social media posting. So those are sort of things that a boss might go, well, you're a BDM, you do all of the BDM activities, but it can be detrimental, particularly when they're focused on the strategies 1, 2, and 3. They can't, the more time you do, the right person doing the right strategies, putting in the right time, will get the right results. Don't interrupt that process. And so the point is, Deniz, how much, and let's just nut out, right? If we sign up one property, what's the typical fee income per year could that property earn us? How much?
Well, you'd like to think it's a minimum 2,000, Darren.
And for me, in the Win Your Worth Academy, I'll teach you $3,000 or more, but let's say it's 2.5, right? Let's say it's 2.5 grand.
Yeah.
And we keep the property 5 years, because until the owner moves back in or he sells, 5 years. So there is already $10,000. All right. Now, Deniz, if they were to sell that listing to another real estate agency, a rent roll sale, then that particular business could be worth, let's say, if it's $1,800 a year in management fees alone, let's say times by 3, that could be $4,500 in asset value, that one person, that property. Yep. So $10,000 in fee income plus $5,000, $5,500, so $15,500 that one listing is worth. Or what if the property is sold by a real estate salesperson and the commission could be worth, let's say, conservatively 10 grand. Yep. So 20 grand it's worth. So if a BDM, and a good BDM doing those things, Deniz, what sort of numbers would you think are healthy in a month? Yeah,
look, I'd like to think, I mean, when you look at the monetary amount there, that's pretty exciting to see. But I'd be like to see, a minimum 10 a month is what a BDM should be bringing in.
So let's say it's 10 a month.
That's conservative. That's 120
over 5
a year,
years,
right?
Over 5 years, 10 grand each in fee income, 10 a month. That's $100,000 over 5 years. So if we're doing $100,000 over 5 years worth of fee income, we times that by 12, well, that's $1.2 million, Deniz. I just want to encourage everybody, don't get hung up on spending $35,000 a year on an effective virtual assistant to actually do these tasks for the BDM. That's the whole point, is that don't get a good BDM putting the right time in, doing the right strategies, bringing in the results by burdening them with the dirt moving activities. You want workers for that. Other people, workers, laborers. You want laborers for the fully qualified builder. The laborer does all the hack work. All righty. Don't get your fully qualified builder doing the hack work of making the cement and all of that sort of stuff, the dirt moving activities. That you're going to be leaving that to the master BDM. All righty. So just don't get measly on your money, because you're saving 30 grand could cost you $500,000 if they're kept busy 50% of their time. And even worse, Deniz, I know of a BDM out there that was getting good numbers, but the boss didn't see the value in their position, and so made them go and lease the properties as well. And far out, a BDM having to lease as well, it takes anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, people, with drive time, showing several groups through until you got the right application, the processing, getting the welcome pack done, getting the ingoing inspection done, the tenant induction, all of that's about 8 to 12 hours. If they're doing that on 5 properties a month, there's already a week's worth of work. If you're keeping that property, that BDM busy 2 days a week doing other activities other than gold nugget activities. I hope you're hearing me, everyone. Deniz.
I do too, because so many times that I see BDMs, they're struggling. Darren, let me just confirm a couple of things here. If you're a startup BDM and you're only listing 1, 2, 3 properties, you've got time to lease properties as well, right? You can be doing, to do both, because it also puts that accountability on yourself in making sure that you're setting the price right, etc. Once you're starting to upwards of 8 properties a month and you're getting 10 and you've got that flow coming, I'm talking about a startup, because it takes a good 3 months to really get that flow happening with the BDM activities in place. Then you let go of that leasing, then you let go, right? But it is important to stay in good connections with your leasing agent to make sure that the prices are set and you're aware of what tenant demands are as well. But so it's okay to do leasing, but if you fall back into leasing because you don't know what to do as a BDM, that's when you reach out and I'll help. That's when I'll give you the activities. That's when it could be the coaching. It could be more things that you need to do. But, when I first started training Shoshana, you brought her name up earlier, Darren. She was managing 120 properties and only listing 2 to 3 a month. And then I was in deep conversations with her boss, and we took 60 properties away. So it freed her up to list more. And we doubled her numbers of listing because she had more time to do prospecting, right? And then when she got that back up to 80 properties, we took another 60 away from her. So she's now down to 20. And then we took her business up to 16 and 20 a month, right? And then we took all properties away from her, so it was a great thing to do. We freed her up so she could do the BNI, the strategic alliance, the one-on-one meetings, the investor support services, meeting with the sales agents, the social media, the videos, the lot. There's so much to do, so many great activities. But yeah, look, a time management for a BDM is so imperative, and it's really important, Darren, to keep that consistency going.
All right, everyone. So if you want to talk to Deniz about those 3 main strategies, you can do it on a self-learning level with recordings, of course, with coaching support when you need it. Or you want to go right to the tippy top with one-on-one coaching as well. Just go to book into growmyrentroll.com, and that will book you directly into Deniz's diary. No worrying about email ping-pong or anything. Straight into Deniz's Calendly and have a chat. But Deniz, great episode. Everyone, thank you so much. We try and pack as much into these podcasts as we can. Make sure you get the book, masteryourtimesecrets.com. It's good for BDMs and brilliant for property managers. It was written with property managers in mind, but the one chapter for BDMs, keeping it really simple when it comes to time management. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you very much.